Welcome to the Empowered Lifestylers podcast, a movement and community designed to help you live your best life and reconnect you back to the things that really matter. In today's episode, we are continuing on the conversation from our previous podcast, talking about how you and your family can take that first step or the next step into the decentralized space, giving you more freedom, more choice, and autonomy. So let's jump in. Hey everyone, it's Kate and Ant here again for another Empowered Lifestylers episode. And we're wanting to continue on the conversation from our previous episode where we can help you break down how to step out of that time for money trap that so many families are feeling like they're in, that there is more time that is being spent doing things that are working hard, away from family, doing the things that you love, and you don't have the energy or the flexibility in that weekly schedule. And so that is what we really want to dive into today to help you break out of that and feel really empowered in the process.
Yeah, the only resource that we have that is finite is time. And so if you're not being deliberate with that, for sure, you are filled in default and distraction. So how can we help you transition from what's largely been indoctrinated? If we take a eagle eye view, if you will, just to set the stage for this podcast, when we look through the histories of mankind, we really went through the agricultural age where most people were out there on the land. And so it was the people who owned the land that held the power. That you and I, if we didn't hold the land, we were out there using our equity as far as our energy to contribute towards society. So we had this agricultural age. Then we shifted to the industrial age, where some people went, how can we transform technology? And it was really the tractor, where you could take the work of 300 men to 3 men to run the tractor. And so it was the people who harnessed the technology early in the 1800s who transitioned us as a society to that. Mm-hmm. So you got to get that change is inevitable. And if we're on the right side of change, we can benefit from that shift in power and wealth. If we're not, we're just kind of the distraction or the default. Mm. And we're going through it again now, because what happened with all of those workers who were in the fields, it's like, what do we do with these people now? So with the industrial age, because we could produce at a much higher rate, now we needed factories. And so we had to train the population how they could be in a factory, clock on, clock off, do this, don't look left, don't look right, listen to your manager, and just do as you're told to be productive. And so you'd work your 9 to 5 through the week. Come the weekend, you would drink, you would go to your sport, and you would cheer, okay? So, and we created a whole schooling system that would very much indoctrinate us to be in that way.
Yeah, you think about most of us, we were raised to go to school and answer the bell, answer the teacher, the person at the front of the room, get a good job. I remember vividly speaking to my careers advisor when I hit year 10, and it was all about the right classes that I needed to do to get the right grades that I could go to university and then get a good paying job. And then if you think how that plays out, you work 40 hours a week, for until you're maybe in your early 60s or mid 60s. And then hopefully you've got enough of a kitty to be able, and health-wise, to be able to enjoy life. And that model may have worked in the past, but it is absolutely changing right now. And if we aren't on the right side of change, like Anthony just said, then it's going to catch up with us. I'm a bit of a rebel at heart. So I remember when my careers advisor said to do all these things, I'm like, well, I don't particularly want to go to university. I want to step out. I don't want to just study something for the sake of studying. And so many of my friends at that point in time did. It's interesting chatting to kids in the schooling system now. We have personally homeschooled our kids, and a lot of them are still being groomed for degrees that will be obsolete pretty soon because you're able to go on to AI and utilize those technologies to be able to get the jobs done faster, quicker, more effective, more accurate. And so it's so important that whether you like it or not, change is coming. And so if you can be educated in that and know how to play the game, and get ahead for yourself and your family, that is going to be an incredibly smart investment of your time and knowledge to do so.
You didn't opt for the 40-40-40 plan.
I didn't. Well, to start with, no.
But the 40-40-40 is, work 40 hours a week, which is probably closer to 80 these days, for 40 years of your life. Now retirement's extended. It's probably more like 55 years. And then to retire on 40% of what already wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And just let that sink in. That's what most people have been groomed for, which leads us to, well, why now that we're going from the industrial age, where it's still being indoctrinated, that's how you should study, to the digital age. And the new tractor is blockchain and bots. In the digital age, blockchain and bots is the new tractor. So how can you be the bearer? How can you be in a position where are you utilizing blockchain technology and bots like a tractor, regardless of where you're starting? A big thing, we're going to spell this out for you today. We're going to give you the blueprint. We're going to give you irrefutable facts. It's going to come down to the story of why you're not saying yes to this. Why in an asset class called crypto that's performed in the last decade, year on year, 630%. 6xing your money year upon year for a decade. Imagine that. Compared to, say, real estate, which is done in Australia 5% per annum, in Sydney 6%. Yet we're still, well, what's the stat? How many people in crypto?
We just hit 8% of the global population that have stepped into it, and we'll cover some really interesting statistics a little bit later. But I think the thing is, if you feel like you're always working, always hustling, there's not enough time, it's not necessarily because you're lazy. You're just playing a game that is rigged for you not to win. And what I know that when the world of blockchain and DeFi kind of unfolded, it has allowed everyday people to step into money mechanisms to create huge leverage that goes well beyond their time. This is where if your current income and what you're doing isn't necessarily a measure of your worth, and to be able to have more time at the end of your week to invest into relationships and your family and travel and your health, all of those things are very achievable. However, if all you're doing, the only source of income for you right now is trading time for money that is very limited, you're not necessarily going to be in a winnable game.
Well, it goes deeper, because if your asset that you're building is fiat currency, get this for a second, you're exchanging your time for money, which means that money is finite because you only have so much time. It gets worse because the money that you're getting paid is depreciating. So minute upon minute, as they're printing more and more of this, the value of the dollar goes down. So in the last 23 years, what you could have had a dollar for 23 years ago now has the buying power of 58 cents. It's almost halved.
I think about when I used to go to the shop when we would visit my great-grandparents, and we would get like 50 cents, and you go across the road and we would get a bag of lollies that would last us the entire week. Now you're lucky to get a single lolly for 50 cents, which I know is like crazy, but it's one example of so many different areas.
And it's not that the cost of making that stuff has gone up. If anything, it's decreased because we have better technology, all of that.
Yeah.
It's that the buying power of the dollar has decreased.
Yeah.
So that 40-hour week you did now probably had to be, 75 hours. That's what you actually worked, the buying power you have now. And this is before we go into the spare bedroom tax, the unrealized capital gains tax, and every turn that you could probably agree the system isn't designed for our favor if you continue to be a consumer. And so what we want to help you transition into is, how do you be the bank?
Yep.
Because in the digital age, as we went to the industrial age, it was the banks that controlled the wealth. And if you are still receiving a paycheck or you're paying your employees, you're not paying it to them. You're paying it straight into their bank account. And I want to reemphasize this from the last podcast. Go read your terms and conditions of your bank. And you'll realize once that money is in the bank, it is not your money. It's the bank's money, and you are the unsecured creditor.
Mm.
That might be a little bit concerning or scary, but remember, the bank is a business.
Yep.
It's not the Commonwealth. It's not an entity of the government. It's a business. And so if you want to keep playing in that realm, it's
it's what we know. And
Yeah.
I think for so many people, it's the fear of the unknown that is keeping them just with the single stream of income and, sticking with it in the bank because that's where it's safe. That's how we've grown up. That's what we've been taught. The richest institutions in the world are not trading time for money. They're using leverage. We just weren't taught that. We just weren't taught that in school. We weren't taught that out of school unless you've gone and done courses and personally upskilled. But they're using automation. They're using technology. They're using money mechanisms with our money that we've put in the bank that most families are not even taught exist. And I think what I really want to impress as well is that money, what we're talking about right here, money is not the end goal. Freedom is. It's a tool. It's a way to give you more choices and flexibility. So every one of you is going to have a different hierarchy and order of how you would, if you did have more money land in your bank account every month, how you would use it. And that's beautiful. This is about helping you create more of it so you have more choices, so that freedom, whatever that definition means to you, you get to do more of that.
Well, I think it's the first step, to be honest, because a lot of people, if I said to you, extra 10 grand a month is going to land in your account, what are you going to do with it? And I think for a lot of people, the answer is, I don't know. Or they would immediately increase their lifestyle. They'd buy another car, they'd go on holiday, they'd do these things instead of looking at the buckets and going, how do I put that into an asset class where the asset grows, the asset pays me, and I get to live off the rewards of the asset without diluting it. So if you stay till the end, we're going to give you the blueprint how to do that, which is pretty special.
Yeah, it is. And so you might be sitting there listening going, I earn a pretty good income. So that's great. And some of you love what you do, which is phenomenal. When we had our chiropractic center, so we had our first business when I was 20, we opened it. So definitely stepped into the world of entrepreneurship pretty young. And then we went on and expanded to 5 centers. We had lots of moving parts and we absolutely loved what we did.
Well, if you have had business, like for us, it was our baby before babies. Mm-hmm. It is your blood, sweat, and tears. It is the living example of you. It becomes your identity. For me, as the chiropractor, like I was Dr. Anthony. And so
we painted every wall, we laid the floors, there was so much love and vision put into it.
But then I did all the right things. I was the good boy.
You went to university.
I went to university. I got the 3 degrees. I had the doctor title. We have one business. We thought scaling is more is better. And it was not pretty,
We were helping more people. So that was great. However, did we feel free? Absolutely not. I remember vividly, we went on a holiday. Our kids would have been maybe 1.5, 3.5, and 5.5. And very close together. I was a little chaotic there, trying to run 5 businesses. And we happened to go to Fiji. And at that point in time, the internet was not fantastic in Fiji. And we're there and it's payroll day. And for whatever reason, the internet was not working on the island.
And it wasn't automated.
And it was like dial up, like snail pace kind of internet. And I was trying to do payroll for the entire team that we had on board at that time.
I remember you walking around the island with your phone up. And I'm like, we're here on holidays. This is supposed to be our downtime.
I'm stressed out of my mind. Our HR manager's like giving me a big serve and I'm just trying to do the best that I can. And
you can imagine from our employees going, the boss is off on a holiday and we're not getting paid.
Yeah. So I literally could not access any internet. And so they got paid a day late and I felt horrible, but I was so stressed, was not present with my family. And at that point in time, if we ever did take time out, it kind of took me 3 days to wind down and then I'd enjoy myself for a few days and then we'd be back into the grind. Something would be broken, some staff would be sick, someone will have quit. And so the joy of what we started what we were building for and why we started actually started to disappear. The stress of business, and then you've got payroll tax and all of the other things that our beautiful government throws on top of small business that just makes it harder to win. So we definitely did not feel free. On the outside, it looks like, yeah, you guys are doing amazing. And I definitely was proud of what we created. But we had to look in the mirror at one point and just be like, this is not what we signed up for. We were working harder and we never felt caught up. We were missing time out with our kids. We stopped dreaming and thinking about, all of these great things that we wanted to achieve and create. I never rested. I felt guilty. If I had like 20 minutes to like catch my breath, I'd feel like I need to log in and try and do something so I was being productive. And all of a sudden, the vision that we were working towards wasn't there anymore. And so I don't know if you can relate to any of those feelings, maybe not our situation, but it might be a feeling that you're having on replay that you're just like, this isn't the end goal that I had in mind. And so until you get to that point or that realization, then often you're not open for other ways and other things that you can do to leverage. But we finally got to a point where we recognized that we needed to be able to working smarter, not harder, and have leverage in our life. And that was the tipping point. That was the turning point that allowed us to, create more choices and have more time doing the things that mattered most.
I remember a phrase that you used often at that time. I'm busy but empty.
Yeah.
It's like you're running around doing everything for everyone else. It becomes, it's admirable, right? We really look up to people who are so productive and out there doing everything for everyone else.
Like a badge of honor. I know I was wearing it like that.
But then it's, you live with yourself.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that your own cup is full, that then you're giving from a full cup, because then your level of contribution, your level of being there as a husband, a wife, a parent, a friend, is from such a more fulfilling place because you're doing it with that cup flowing over, not from empty.
Yeah.
Where then you're kind of looking for validation of how hard I'm working.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you'll catch up with people and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. And then the next one will be like, oh my gosh, I'm even more busy. And it's this whole thing. And it isn't something we should be proud of. We want to be busy doing the things that light us up. So I think for us, the shift wasn't about money. It was about reclaiming time so that we could be more present, with our kids, more grounded with our health and more aligned. So we moved from traditional business into online business. And for us, that was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We can, as long as we've got a laptop and Wi-Fi, we are sweet. Don't go to Fiji. That's fine. But, so we had that and that was amazing. And we were in that space for about 10 years. And that still was time, effort. We had a lot of, things, moving parts to that. Very, very grateful though, because we got our time back as a family and that was amazing. But at the same time as that, in about 2016, we stepped into the world of cryptocurrency and DeFi. And very much like L plates, just trying to figure it out as we went. And I remember, and it's interesting, I wonder what your personal belief is about that space, because in the media at the time, and I've kind of gone back and looked at some interesting quotes that people have made, Bitcoin has become, a worldwide name. People know what it is. Whereas, in 2015, 2016, most people had associated, if they had heard of it, that it's a fraud. That maybe, I know Warren Buffett, who's a phenomenal investor. If you haven't heard of him, he's one of the world's greatest. He said Bitcoin is rat poison squared.
It's 2018,
yeah,
mind you. This isn't going back that far.
And then BlackRock made a statement saying it's speculative, volatile, and will end badly. So some people were associating cryptocurrency to the black market, to drug lords, and it was all very, very dodgy in that world. And so all the traditional means of, you think about stockbrokers and things like that, they wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And so when we stepped into it, there wasn't necessarily a lot of support or guidance at all. We just kind of fumbled along. But it was something we understood the power of diversification and have something working and growing for us, but didn't really know what we were doing.
I want you, because I'm thinking back, how did I first hear about crypto? And I remember it vividly. I was with some mates. One of them had invested heavily in personal growth with his wife. and they went to an Anthony Robbins event, and he came back and he said about this thing called Bitcoin. I know for a fact, a decade on, he still hasn't bought Bitcoin. And the one who introduced it to me, I went home to Kate and said, hey, we should look into this thing. I think because we are a little bit rebellish. I think because we do like to look at the system and go, yeah, if everyone's running that way, we're going to go that way. And it's worked out well for us. But when you look at BlackRock and what they said in 2018, and now we fast forward to today, they're the largest custodians of Bitcoin globally.
In the world, bigger than the crypto exchanges. Like, it's crazy. So
JP Morgan, so the CEO at the time, 2017, who said Bitcoin is a fraud, now they offer Bitcoin to their high net clients. You've got countries holding Bitcoin as their national reserve. So you've got this asset class that less than 8% of the population, remember, blockchain, the new tractor, that are people have moved towards. You've got people who are indoctrinated through a schooling system to go listen to the person at the head of the class. And so you've got all of these experts over the last 5-6 years saying it's a scam, it's a fraud.
Yeah. And
Who have
now,
meantime now stepped into it.
yeah.
So what are you going to do with that? How long ago did you first hear about Bitcoin? What price was it? I want you to stop and I want you to write that down. How long between then to when you bought it, if you bought it?
Or is it on the to-do list that you just haven't quite got around to?
If you had bought it then, how much would it have grown in worth to today? And there's no point looking in the rear view mirror unless we learn a lesson. Okay, this isn't about doom and gloom and regret and I shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's about learning from the past and looking at the trajectory of where this is going, looking at the market caps, looking at the size of money that's moving into this space and going, how can I stake my claim? How can I be a part of this movement that's safe, that's secure, where I've got community who can help and support and guide me? That is what we want to move into.
Yeah. So, the same institutions that were mocking Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it's not just about Bitcoin, now control more than most retail investors combined, which is absolutely crazy. And so when we first stepped into DeFi, we had plenty of people that thought we were nuts. And now some of the biggest players in the world are racing to catch up. And like Anthony said before, only 8% of the world's population, or maybe I said it, are actually in the DeFi space. So,
because people go, oh, Bitcoin's now at whatever it's
I
at.
missed the thing.
I'm too late.
Yeah.
No. So are we okay to move into how did most people move into crypto?
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons of that? And a way that if you kind of go through this checkbox, that you'll likely agree that that sounds really simple.
Yeah.
It sounds safe. It sounds logical. It's not out of reach. It doesn't take a high intellect. It doesn't take excessive time. And it doesn't matter where you're starting from. You're moving a percentage of your current assets into a class where it's just going to have your money work harder for you, be more secure, be autonomous, be sovereign, and be liquid.
Yeah. So the goal isn't about more money. It's about buying back more time and choice for you, right? So I think that the thing that is important for you to get is that most people, if they have got started in crypto, it's because someone said, oh, you should buy this meme coin or this token. And I've heard something and it looks good. I don't know about you guys, but if I don't bet on horse races anymore, that's not something that's in alignment with my values. However, when I did go to the token race day, how I chose a horse was because of the color of the jockey. That's how
the color of the jockey. Like what he was wearing, or the skin color. Or...
No, like the hat and not his. Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So most people, if they have already stepped into crypto, it's literally been flying by blind, and it is kind of like a gambling thing. Or they get started on something good, and then the emotional roller coaster. Oh, it's going up. Oh my gosh. And then they'll sell it at the wrong time, or they'll buy into the narrative that might be in the news or on social media. That, whether you're doing stocks, whether you're doing crypto or real estate, it really doesn't matter. If you play the emotional roller coaster game, you are not going to get where you want to go. So I think that the first thing is most people they are flying blind when they are getting started.
Yeah. So first thing, let's start with a strategy. Let's start with the system.
Yeah.
How most people get in, it's whatever coin it might be. Oh, you should buy this one. I saw a post. I saw some announcement. And so get this. When there's hype about something, it's because it's going up in value. Typically, is that the right time to buy? No, you missed it. If you have a strategy, you want to buy something low and sell it high, whatever's already hyped has already flown. Now, you could still do that and you could probably still do well if you hold the asset. What if, though, you could follow a strategy that was taking a portion of either what you earn or what you have sitting there as income from other sources, and you took a percentage of that and you started to put it into this asset class? So that's the first thing. Instead of going, I'm going to go to the casino today and put it all on black, going, let's dollar cost average. So how does that look? You might go, well, I know at the end of the month, every month, I've got $100 left over. I could carve out and I could pull back some subscriptions and I could maybe not have those few extra latte, whatever it is.
Have that garage sale of all the junk that we bought that we don't need anymore.
But month on month, that is the amount that you're going to put into this. Or it could be a percentage. So you might get paid in commissions and you have an extra high month or a low month, whatever. Percentage of what's coming in to your bucket, you're going to put into this asset class. We spoke about bots. So instead of you being the person out in the field, doing the research, doing the background checks, looking at the reviews, understanding the technology, there are bots that are out there doing that for you. They're out there trading on your behalf or they're minting currency on your behalf. We won't go into the technicalities of that. Now, I want to pause on there for a second. If I fly from here to wherever, Dubai, you've just come back from Dubai. There's engineers who know exactly how that plane works. There's pilots there who can fly that safely, securely every time. And they get paid a wage. I don't need to know how the plane flies to take advantage of flying on that plane to Dubai. I could, though, have stocks in that airline and I could be making more than the pilot and the engineer combined because I see that as a valuable thing and I can see how it rises. So I just want to start with that as a metaphor because some people get wrapped up into, I don't know how it works. I don't know what it's about. As you use something, would you agree that you tend to learn more about it? I just taught this to our daughter. What you appreciate appreciates.
Yeah.
So as you start to nurture something, you look after it, it grows in value. So I'm going to pause there and then move on to Katie for the next step. The first step is to choose a dollar amount per month or per week that you're going to say, I want to shift into this asset class. And then you're going to deploy that into bots that are either going to mint the currency or they're going to trade it on your behalf. That historically is going to accumulate more asset, more a bigger piece of the pie, shifting your fiat currency into crypto than just trying to buy low, sell high.
Yeah. And so if you're hearing words that there is a little voice in you, I don't know what this means, this doesn't make sense, this isn't for me, please stop that because that has possibly been the thing that's held you back from even getting started in this space. And the system wants you to not know. And so we're really big on keeping that message simple, so much so that our kids, they've all got miners, they've all got bots. They pick it up so ridiculously fast. I think, our generation of children are definitely growing up in a digital age, so it is different. But, they're already learning how to build wealth. So even though our son is working at a food restaurant and our other one is working as a landscaper, they're earning time for money. They recognize that they can't earn more than what their bots are generating. So they love what they do. And they're also having their money working for them 24/7 while they're sleeping, while they're surfing with their mates, while they're fishing, whatever that is. So just know that it's a learning process. And so for us, we are so big on our community to be feeling empowered in that journey, but you don't have to know it all to start with. It's making that smart choice to take a portion. Most of you have all your eggs in one basket, either from an income stream, it's all coming from one place, or everything is in the one fiat currency, which is eggs all in one basket. So it's switching that out.
Well said. And so our kids, as they earn cash, are continuing to buy more bonds. And so a portion of their wealth is always going into that asset class.
Yep.
When we look at the second step, as that first bucket is accumulating and month in, month out, these bots are trading, these bots are mining currency.
And they're doing it without emotion.
What do you mean by mining currency? They are creating coins. They're creating coins in the digital world that they can instantly liquidate into fiat if need be, or they can use to go fund life. This isn't like fairy dust magic monopoly money out there. This is real money.
Mm-hmm.
This has value. It's already pre-established because of the algorithm and because of the code that's written. So we won't go into that fine detail, but you will learn more about that if you want to step into this space. So as that's accumulating, you're going, well, that's great. I have more digits on a screen. How does that relate to my lifestyle? And so as the value of that coin increases, it's like, do I sell it? Because if it's going to increase more, at what point do I jump off here and start turning that into lifestyle? What if you never had to sell it? What if you could park the asset that you're building into same asset class, but a different strategy? And I want to give you this metaphor. If you took, say, your $1,000 or $100,000, whatever you've got in crypto now, let's keep it as fiat, and you went to a currency exchange. Have you ever flown and you want to exchange currency to where you're flying? Let's say you're flying to the US from Australia, and you go to the currency, you give them your, whatever it is, 1,000 Aussie, they're going to give you 1,000 Aussie back minus what? They're going to take a fee, aren't they? They're going to take a fee, 2, 3, 5%, whatever it is.
As they convert it into US dollars.
As they convert it. Now, if that was your money that you had in there and you took 1,000, you put 500 Aussie, 500 US, and so a person comes and they give them more Aussie, they're going to get US. You haven't lost any money, but you've taken that 3% on the way through. It's the same in the digital world. It's the same in the crypto world. So you can place that into a liquidity pool where the asset is not diluting. It's still riding the increase in value, but along the way, you're taking all these transaction fees as other people are coming along, hearing about these coins, seeing the value, seeing the benefit of having their business move on to a blockchain. And so the more transactions that happen through this system, you're getting paid. If we look historically, well, what is the liquidity pool that we're involved with? The lowest we've ever seen it is 9%. We've seen it as high as 112%, averaging around 40% to 60% per annum. You're creating crypto on crypto.
Compounding daily.
So think about that. If we go back to the first step, your dollar cost averaging, money that's already there that is guaranteed to decrease in value if it stays as fiat currency. You're taking it, putting into an asset class where it's printing money. It's trading and it's accumulating an asset that is already growing in value, but you don't have to sell it because you can take that and put it into this liquidity pool. It's continuing to spin off that 40, 60, whatever percent it might be.
Let's go, even if it was 10%. Let's just do that because
Better
you think
than a bank, right?
100%. I was chatting to someone.
But it's 10% of an asset that's increasing instead of
In value.
10% of something that's decreasing. The thing, that 3.4% you're getting off your money in the bank is not even covering the rate of inflation. So you're not even ahead. So what it means is then you don't just have more digits on a screen, you're taking what that is spitting off in the liquidity pool, and that is funding your lifestyle. That is buying time. That's buying back a Saturday morning you don't have to work so you can go to your kid's soccer game. It's buying back a Friday to go, yeah, I'm not coming in that day because that's going to be the day that whatever I do, I go fishing, I go on the jet ski, whatever it might be, start to think about not digits on a screen. Start to correlate this to freedom.
we're big on looking at, okay, well, how many years do we have for our children being under our roof until potentially they're off, seeing the world themselves? And there's always change with that. But how many years do you have before your elderly parents maybe are not able to travel and get around as much? What are some experiences that you want to have with your kids while they're all together? Or, is there a holiday that your parents have always spoken about but never done? Those kinds of things. It'll either be a one day that never happened unless you have a deliberate plan where there's leverage. It's not just about your time and the job that you have or your business that you have. So this hopefully is thought-provoking to just well beyond numbers and crypto. This is about creating a deliberate life and having a deliberate system that you can follow without emotion that allows you to create freedom and choice for you and your family to live more of what matters most.
This is cool, guys. Mm-hmm. And I know if you're new to the space, some of the words, as Kate said, might have gone over your head. But I want you to feel our energy. I want you to feel our hearts. I want you to reflect maybe on the transition we've made. A lot of you have followed us over the years, with us on social media through different ways that you've connected with us. And I know for myself, I'm just a lot more calm. I'm a lot more present. I'm a lot more patient. I don't anger as easily. And I want to connect all that back to this, because when you don't have that weight on your shoulders to provide the stress, the where's the next dollar coming from, when you've just stepped out of life for a second, looked at it and gone, yeah, this is not on the trajectory. If life keeps going as it is, am I going to be happy in another 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? And if the answer is no, no one's coming to save you. No one cares about you and your money and your family more than you do.
Yeah.
You are the one. You are the person who is empowered to do this. And so take action, because as we transition into the digital age, you can have the tractor, you can have the bots and the blockchain, where you're creating not just wealth for yourself, but as we are teaching our children and teaching generational wealth, because these are assets that are on the way up. These are assets that, as banks, you got to get this. I know it's a little bit on the dark side of it. If you don't do this, you will end up in change. There will be central bank digital currency.
Banks are bringing cryptocurrency into their control as well, because they realize and recognize that it's going all that way. So they need to be able to accommodate people to be able to do that. But it's in a controlled environment that they're not sharing these money mechanisms with you. They're still wanting to take their clip. Remember, just in 1 year, they've made over $4 billion in tap and go fees in Australia alone. So they're there to make money. They are a business. This is giving you the driver's seat so that you're the one that's in control.
But do a little bit of research, if you will, because there's a lot of talk how the central bank digital currency will be programmable, meaning it can have an expiry date, meaning it can be only spent on certain things, that if you have not seen to be doing the right thing, that it's attached to your passport, it's attached to your social media accounts, it's attached to your digital identity, your biometric markers. The digital age is here. So what you love about it, hate about it, is actually irrelevant. The question is, how do I be on the side of change where I preserve my freedom, where I get to continue to live life on my terms, so that this time around, while we're here on this earth for this finite time, you get to continue to focus on your purpose, your values, your mission. And again, that's the other thing I want to bring this back to, because more money in your account, more digits on your screen does not equal happiness. Start to get clear, and you will, because when you're not exchanging time for money and you have time on your side, you have time to think. You have time to invest into your health. You have time to invest into relationships. You can be there for your children.
To give back to a cause or, a charity that, you're passionate about, but right now you don't have the time or the means to be able to support it.
So we want to emphasize that, money, it's not that important, but it's everything. Because what it allows you to do, because we've all agreed as a society, this is how we're going to transact.
Yep.
And right now is a massive transition in wealth and power. And we want to make sure you're aware of the mechanisms that you can start to tap into.
That's it. So you don't have to be techie or playing high risk or even have a huge amount of funds to start with to step in and to start the habit. You just really need to be willing to unlearn some of the things that we've been taught over the years and learn something different that actually supports the future that you want to create. And so if you're ready to explore and to learn more, you can go to empoweredlifestylers.com/DeFi, and we will guide you through how you can get started safely, securely, in a way that feels like you're the one that's in the driver's seat, to allow you to start having a diversification into this space and then have your money working for you while you're doing life, work, and all the other things that you've got going on too.
And there's a community, this is a real movement because people are seeing this, they're getting behind it, they're learning. And as you tap into that community, you're not on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You're in weekly trainings, there's calls, there's updates, so that you can really earn as you learn. And not just earn in the sense of you're seeing your wealth, you're seeing your net worth increase, you're earning the right through knowledge and wisdom to either place more into this, where you're starting to dollar cost average more or taking lump sums, but you're also earning the right to share this. Because the biggest thing for us, we sat on this for a full year. I'm almost embarrassed to say it because I'm like, oh, money is one of those topics where you don't really talk about it. And that was just another belief that came from the dinner table.
Mm.
You're there to be seen, not heard around money. I don't know if any of this relates. Money doesn't grow on trees. All the beliefs are there. But we got to the point where we felt an obligation that this is something that can really shift people's lives. I had to go through an identity shift because being Dr. Anthony, I was about helping people with their health. I thought, no, the basis of health is freedom of movement, freedom of experience, freedom of expression. And part of that is wealth. And so, we've on our own journey of that. But my real hope for you is you see this, you take it by the horns, you apply the strategy, and then you see it working and you can pay it forward.
Yeah.
Because the more people who are in this community, the more people who are growing this ecosystem, means that we have a bigger piece of the pie, that we have more of a force who's not in that kind of indoctrination and there's people following along by default.
And there's too many people hurting out there right now, just, to be able to have something that is working for you to pay it forward. So I'll just go back to, you can get started, learn more, join us in the journey and feel like you can make some smart decisions for yourself and your family. Go to empoweredlifestylers.com/DeFi.
DEFI.
DEFI. And we look forward to being with you next on our future episode.